there. Tonight we got a kind of an abbreviated show. I have a special city council meeting tonight on the budget, the ever important budget. Last night we had a school committee meeting also on the budget. So we'll have a little shortened version. It's just myself on tonight. Again, it's a live call-in. It's 664-4408. Well, I guess we'll go over the budget's going to be tough this year. They had three different projections. They had a 10, a 12.5, and a 15% budget that they came up with for projections for best to worst case scenario. And we don't know. We still haven't got numbers from the state yet. But we got it kind of down. They've got it down to an 11.5% with the cuts. We'll see what happens. There's going to be some loss of positions and, some loss of some programming and things like that. But we're just going to have to see what happens on that. I personally think it's going to be a little bit worse. We don't even know what the foreseeable future is for school this fall. I mean, school is just ending, I believe, this Friday, I believe, my wife was saying. She's a teacher's aide, and they do the Zooming a couple times a week. So I think tomorrow or Friday is the last class. So we still got to wait and see what happens for the next school year. You got transportation costs, and how are they going to do the schools? They don't know yet. How many are going to be on buses? How many are going to be in classrooms? We don't know. So it's all up in the air. Tonight we're going to be going over the city budget. There's everything, I suppose, is on the table. I know what I would do. Of course, I come from a business background, and I find things a little bit easier to look at and to do. You got to do what you have to do for the good of the corporation, the company, or whatever you're dealing with. So I don't know what's gonna happen tonight. I know Marie Harpin, she's the chair of the committee. She does a terrific job, her and her committee. So they're going to present that to the city council tonight. And then we're going to see what happens, and we'll move forward from that. There'll be another budget meeting next week, and then that'll come before the city council on a regular meeting next Tuesday night. So it's going to be interesting times that I've never seen before, and I don't think anyone's ever seen before. It's a pretty crazy situation. A new word from our sponsor. I didn't have time to bring my own coffee, so I had to stop and get a McDonald's coffee. So let's see. Anything anybody wants to bring up? Frustrations. I'm still pretty frustrated with what's closed, what's not going on, what's opening, what's not opening. We've got my business is in Vermont, and they're really starting to open things up now. I believe you can go camping and things like that now. We know most things in North Adams, for the rest of the summer anyways, has been canceled. Mass Mocha's canceled some big events, fresh grass, things like that. With this budget we got coming up, people don't realize, I don't think, what's going to happen, how long it's going to take to recover. You hear a lot of optimistic reviews and reports. They just had for the nation, May was a record growth, but record growth from what? It wasn't hard to get a growth spurt from the economic outlook. People were cooped up so long. But I'm not for everything that's been going on. I'm not for all the closings. I know they finally just the other day opened the kids' skateboard park, and I know the governor comes down and says certain things and closes certain things, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the long run. To see what happens next year. I want to look back at the numbers on this COVID thing. Right from the very beginning, they had their projections and speculations back in January, February. Millions were going to get the virus. hundreds of thousands were going to die. They scared kind of the wits out of everybody. And once you let the genie out of the bottle, and not saying it's not serious, because it is serious, but most times in flu season, we have some issues. In the last 10 years, we've lost between 12,000 and 61,000 people have died. Sometimes it's affected some younger people, sometimes older people, but I still believe the average age of death is still around 80 years old. You know, even going to church, you know, I get so frustrated. For 3 months we couldn't go to mass, and finally the bishop changed the standards where 3 weeks ago he opened up the churches, but you had to be 6 feet apart. They had the X's on the pews and they had aisles blocked off and you had to wear a mask. So that kind of bothers me, the wearing a mask, because if you're social distancing and you're separated every which way but loose, to wear a mask is very uncomfortable. And I've seen some of the boxes that these masks come in, and when you read them on the outside, and this is just a regular mask that people wear, you know, to cover themselves, to protect themselves. It says right on the box, there's a warning. These do not prevent airborne viruses. And then there's a black circle, and it says does not protect against COVID-19. And I talked to a doctor about it and mentioned it to him, and he kind of laughed. He said, well, makes people feel good. You know, the way people use them, they use them wrong. You know, theoretically they should be sterilized, taken off, but people throw them in their car, throw them in their pocket, throw them in their purse. Whenever you go in someplace, you kind of put the mask on, and kind of said it's like using a dirty handkerchief all the time. And it is funny how people react. I know in my business in Bennington, some people, when they come in, do I have to wear a mask? I said, if you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. I'm good if you don't want to wear it. But I don't know, other people, when they see you from a distance, if you don't have it on, they instantly back off, kind of chuckle a little bit inside, especially the younger people. I'm surprised. I don't know what to make of it, what to think about it. I find it very, very frustrating. I think now's the time we should all be out there. I think the basketball rim should be back on hoops. Kids should be out there playing. I think campgrounds should be opened. It was about a month ago, and I forget where it was. I don't know if it was California or not. The governor opened up the beaches. I laughed. I'm like, boy, that's pretty good. But the stipulation was you couldn't go in the water. I mean, how ridiculous. You know, again, that's me speaking. You know, just I guess I'm more of common sense. And could it reappear and could it get worse? I guess so. But I talked to another doctor, and he said, well, you don't want what happened in Winooski, you know, an outbreak, you know. And most of these things aren't outbreaks. They're people, the testing has been increased. So if you did a lot of testing, there's tons of people, I'm sure, that had it or had antibodies on it that you don't know about, and you go around your daily life. I've known people, neighbors who've had it, and people in the same household who didn't get it. So I don't know. It's beyond my pay scale, but we've got to go through it. We're in it. The money the city's going to lose, it's pretty phenomenal when you think about it. Our state aid, you know, Chapter 70 money for the schools, Chapter 90 money, which is for the highways that we get every year. We don't know the numbers on that yet. We don't know. But you can imagine the money the state has lost on this. When you think about gasoline taxes, things like that, state, you know, taxes on people purchasing things. When you go to the local event, we do very, very well on the room taxes. You know, for all the local events that are held here, we have many, many times where things are packed, and the city has a room tax that's paid, and it's paid directly through the state, but reimbursed to the city. That's a good chunk of money. You know, we've lost all of that. Lottery money. We get a percentage, every city gets a percentage of the yearly lottery revenues. I mean, you've got to imagine the revenues have been crushed. Meal taxes, way down. Excise taxes that the city receives from sale of vehicles. You've got to think that's way down. People out of work, and that I don't understand that either. They did come around with a $1,200 stimulus, which I still haven't received, but they did, $1,200 per adult. So they give you that, and then people were laid off, and I can see given the stimulus, they said you couldn't go to work, so okay. But then given $600, I guess it's nice, but whoever came up with that idea, now they want to get people back to work, and some people are refusing to go back to work because they're in fear of their life. That's all I guess you have to say. I'm in fear of my life. So I'll stay laid off, and I'll still collect my unemployment plus $600 a week. So why would you go back to work? But there's going to be a day of reckoning on this for the country, for the state, and for the city. I don't know where we're going to go. Yesterday I came through town, and down by City Hall there was a big protest. And nowadays, when you see a protest, you don't know what the protest is for. So as I come up to it, is it going to be a Black Lives protest, a police protest? You don't know. And it was the teachers out there, protesting that they don't want budget cuts and so on and so forth. And I understand it. Where are we going to go with it? I don't know. We don't know. But everyone has to suffer in this, and everyone's going to suffer in this. And maybe they will. Maybe the students will. We just don't know. I talked to one of our state reps recently, and we were talking about monies we have available. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest things I think that we should be eliminated and they should go back on are all the things that came down from the state for unfunded mandates. They would come down to the schools and say you have to have this position or that position, or you have to do this. Things that cost a lot of money, and they don't fund it. They don't fund that. So stuff like that. Could you repeal some of them? Maybe. Should they? I would think so. It's special times, and we don't know where we're going to go. So it's kind of frustrating. So once I do leave here tonight, we'll be in a Zoom meeting, which I'm not fond of. I don't Zoom. My wife, she's my technical support person, and she sets everything up and gets that all going. And we've had some problems, and the same with other counselors or school committee members have had some issues hooking up to Zoom. And I long for the days of going back to city council, sitting in City Hall. And I did bring that up last night because we did vote on it at the last council meeting for future council coming up to go back into City Hall. And it was a 6-3 to go back. We got enough room in there for social distancing. And I think we should. I think it's good for the people, it's good for us. And I think it's about time. I'm pretty much up to here with everything that's going on. And at the meeting last night, I asked the mayor, I said, when do you think we'll be going back for the school committee meetings to City Hall? And what I've longed for, one of the things I ran on, and it's always bothered me about the school committee, was nobody sees the school committee. It's done up in City Hall in a room across from the mayor's office. It's usually pretty crowded with the school committee, the school committee's lawyers, some teachers, principals. So there's not much room in there. It'd be very tough to social distance. But we would be able to do that in council chambers, I think, quite easily. And the mayor said he's at least a month away from going to any other meetings. So I don't know. I think it's about time that we do go back. I'm kind of over it. And you just kind of keep wondering what's going on with different issues here. let's see what we got here. Okay, well, we'll have to hold off on that call. Mr. Trump, we'll call it back later. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't call, calls late. So it won't be, the next school committee meeting won't be there, which kind of bothers me a little bit. And one thing, one or two people mentioned to me after the last council meeting, they said during the Pledge of Allegiance, at the end of it is for justice for all, and someone said injustice for some. They called me up and they said, who said it? I said, geez, I don't know who said it. It was a male voice, they said. I know it wasn't me. They knew it wasn't me. I don't know who it was. But I'd be interested to find out and what the agenda is and why you do that. I mean, everybody seems to want to start a little bit of trouble, saying little things, changing words. You know, it started, a few years ago, kneeling during football games, and look what that's turned into. So we'll get on to my bills. We don't have a whole lot of time. When we go, you figure 5.5 months ago, the country was in the greatest economic boom. Things were rolling along. Things could not have been better. I'm a firm believer, and a lot of this is political. I firmly believe in that. The virus deal, again, once that went on, once the genie got out of the bottle, you couldn't put it back in the bottle. I listen to public radio up in Vermont every day until it drives me crazy. But one thing I always like to do is I like to listen to the other side, and I do watch MSNBC or CNN, and I watch Fox, and I watch different news reports. And I got a lot of people who really don't like what's going on, don't like Trump. And we've had discussions, pretty civil discussions with some friends that you can talk intelligently to. And I've told them, they give me their answers, like Trump's a this, Trump's a liar, Trump's blah, blah, blah. And all I ask them to do, I said, I'm not going to try and change your mind, but I said, you can't watch the same thing every night. If you watch CNN, MSNBC, listen to public radio, they never, ever give a different point of view from I'm not even say conservative point of view. I'd like to see a moderate. I can't believe the Democrats are as silent as they are on what's going on as they are. Nobody is stepping out of line, and that's the problem with the moderate conservative people. And I've talked to some people who have ideas and want to do stuff, but they'll say "but," and I say the problem is you. The problem is not the leftists, the ultra leftists, because I know where they stand. There's just no doubt. I don't have any question where they stand. They tell me, I know it. But it's us who we're afraid. We're afraid to offend somebody. One guy was saying, well, I got my 5 biggest accounts, 2 of them are very, very liberal, and I don't want to offend them. I say, you're the problem. And I really, really respect this fellow, but I say, you're the problem. Unless you stand up, nothing's going to happen. Politicians, courts, mayors, have all cowtailed to what's going on. Look at what's going on in Seattle. New York City, place I've been to dozens of times. I talked to somebody there a couple weeks ago for business in Brooklyn. And I said, what's it like down there? And she said, Bob, it's a cesspool. It's a true cesspool. The other day, someone was showing me a thing on YouTube, and it had a person in the middle of the day driving through Manhattan. And they had their phone out taking pictures. And they're going right in the big Manhattan business district. The Rolex store and all the fine, everything was boarded up. Maybe the 2 or 3 minutes I saw that, I don't think I saw 15 vehicles drive by. I don't think I saw 15 people on the sidewalks. It was a ghost town. And the guy was saying, this is something you don't see on the news. MSNBC, CNN doesn't put that on. And then you listen to people like Como. I mean, I'll tell you, I think Cuomo's a moron. If he was sitting right here, I'd tell him he's a moron. To listen to him talk, and there was some people I respect very much a few weeks ago, and I probably said it at the last show. They said, "You don't like Cuomo?" I says, "No." I said, "Well, go talk to my wife. She loves him." And I went over and talked, and I said, "What? You like Cuomo?" Oh, Bob, yeah, he's so reassuring. I said, "You do realize he is probably responsible for more deaths than anybody in the United States." I mean, what they have in New York, 22,000 deaths? I mean, he was the guy who ordered people who had COVID, who were recovering, into nursing homes, and it decimated the nursing homes. Same thing in New Jersey. They shipped them out, and it was for an economic reason. You got more money for taking COVID patients, but that's something he did. When you saw the New York City riots, I mean, they call them demonstrations. I mean, give me a break. Now those weren't riots, those were demonstrations. During the daytime, fine. People want to peacefully demonstrate. Did you see what happened at nighttime? And the police do nothing about it. Not because the police don't want to do something about it. And for the life of me, I don't know how the mayor can have that much power. If I'm a police officer, you take an oath. I remember San Francisco a couple years ago. They were smashing buildings and burning them and burning buildings. There was a fellow getting beaten up. He was a Trump supporter, getting beaten up and kicked, and you could see the video of this. And in the back, there was a few policemen standing. They were told to stand down. How can a mayor tell you to stand down? When you become a police officer, you take an oath. Much like we take as a city councilor, there's certain things for the public that you have to uphold. And for that to happen, I mean, I can't imagine being a cop. It's an awful thing. And, well, where I got it here, I got a couple left. I was so mad last week because you got the police officers out there trying to do their job. And I saw the videos, I'm sure you people did too, out in New York and St. Louis and different cities with the marches, the Black Lives Matters, people protesting, breaking windows, smashing things. Cops are getting spat on, shot at, run over by cars. So I went out and I made up a bunch of bumper stickers. Thank a cop. Anyone who wants one, I'll get one for them. I had a bunch made up. They're almost all gone. I got 100 more on order. But I've even pulled police officers over. And what can I do for you? And I give it to them. Do what you want with it, but I just say thanks. By the bucket load, they're retiring. It's a sad situation. Hello, let's talk about it.
Hey, hello there. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing better than I was last week. Hey, listen. You say you got to stand up and talk about it.
Yep.
Well, I stood up to one of the counselors and said, how come the people who demonstrated, and they were protesting in front of City Hall, they didn't have masks on. There was more than 10 people gathering, and there was people up on the rooftops and everything else. I said, how come that was allowed? You know what they said? This is the counselor said to me, you're racist, and I don't want you on my Facebook no more, and they cut me off. What do you think about that?
You're not the only person. People are not allowing them to be on their site anymore. If you don't like it, these people always preach tolerance and love and blah, 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 and they are by far the most intolerant people I've ever seen. They're rude, crass, they're followers. It's sad. And the thing that made me, because I heard about it, I got a call on the protest down there. I didn't go down there, but I believe the week before the mayor cancels all outdoor functions, and lo and behold, who was down in the midst of it was the mayor. I don't understand it. Political ideology, you can see where it comes from. There was a couple other counselors down there to join in the bandwagon, join in the fun. That's not leadership to me. It's not. Leadership would have been if you cancel all downtown function, would be to call the police in. It's an it's an illegal gathering, break it up. But none of these politicians have the backbone, I believe, to do that. Because go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm also running on that problem on Facebook where everybody's putting things on about Mr. Trump, and he's not my president, and this is not my country, and blah, 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 blah. And they go on, and you never see things that go in there. Now, did you hear that Hillary was being questioned about her emails going to court, and that Adam Fisk is probably on the way to jail? It's not. I haven't seen anything on the news about that.
Well, I don't do Facebook. A lot of things I don't believe you can believe on Facebook. We'll see what happens. But one thing I can say is I don't think Biden's ever going to make it to the Democratic convention. I mean, that guy it's past his time, and it's almost sad and pathetic.
Well, the problem is, Bob, is who the heck are they gonna put in place? They're gonna pull somebody out.
I think Como. I've been saying that for a long time. I think they're going to put Como out there. They're going to have, of course, a black woman. I'm still thinking Michelle Obama.
Now, there's something right there. Everybody's crying racist, okay? And Biden has to choose a black woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why can't? No. I got to take my back. Elizabeth Warren is there, but she's another minority. She's
Token.
She's an Indian, right?
This whole racist thing, I think they've hijacked the word racist.
Oh, yeah.
If racist, we are all, I got news for them, we are all the same race. We're all the same race. If you don't like a certain type of people, if you don't like a black person, if you don't like blondes, you can't make laws or legislation that say you have to like them. I mean, the Vietnamese don't have this problem. The Puerto Ricans don't have this problem. Many minorities don't have this problem. This is something they've been living on for years. The politicians have pandered to them. I have no problems with blacks, but I think they've hijacked the word racist, and that's their calling card and their agenda.
Yeah.
And,
well, I'm going to let you go. It's getting up close to closing time. I don't know what time you're going to run to tonight, but
about a minute, 5 seconds.
Okay. Take care.
All right.
Good to see you.
You take care. We'll talk.
Bye.
So if you see a cop, thank a cop. I mean, the job they do, the millions of calls every day, the small minority, there's bad ones. There's bad doctors, bad opticians, bad everything. Now they took cops off. PD cam they took off, which is something we should have on our police force, the cams. We'll see what's going to happen, but I will make more of these. Some people are afraid to put them on their car. That's up to you, but I think it makes a statement. The next batch after I do this will be another bumper sticker that says, does this mean I still get a ticket? No, just kidding. But 2 weeks we'll be back. We'll have more time to talk about it. More budget things will be out there. So I'm off to a budget meeting with the city council now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Night.